الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على عبدك وحبيبك محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن سار على دربه إلى يوم الدين. You remember, my brothers, that in this series we talked about lessons that we learned from the hijrah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I say that without exaggeration. If we continue for the whole year talking about these issues, with my little knowledge about the Sunnah of Prophet, Seerah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we'd have much to talk about. Today I'll talk about after the arrival of, how the hijrah played a role in the life of the companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, al-muhajiruna wal-ansar, the immigrants and the supporters. Okay, the lessons that we learn from this merging between two completely different communities. A community that is seeking refuge, driven out of its land, of its country. They left everything behind. They didn't carry anything along with them. Actually, the vast majority of them escaped from Mecca. They went under the cover of darkness. They tried to avoid the surveillance of Quraysh. So they left everything behind. Their houses, part of their families, their wealth, their properties, their memories. You can leave your thought, you can leave your furniture, but you cannot leave your memories behind. So they came seeking the pleasure of Allah. Muhajir. Okay? They came to a people, they had no relationship with them. Blood relationship, family relationship. Most of them, they didn't know each other's. They had no contact with each other's, living in a different city. At that time, if you live until recently, if you live in a remote village nearby, you could hardly find anybody who knows somebody who's 20 kilometers away from them. Not to mention Medina, which is about 400 kilometers away from Mecca. So with all these difficulties, they're coming to a place, there were no refugee camps, no hotels, no shelter. So what's going to happen? And this is a flux of immigrants, hundreds of people leaving their town and coming into another town. Different topography, different culture probably, different communities. Mecca was to a certain extent a homogeneous community. Means people know each other's, they believe in the same way, they belong to similar families. In Medina it was completely different. You talk about a completely heterogeneous community. Multilingual, you have the Jews and the Arabs. The Jews have their own language and the Arabs have their own language. Different tribes. They used to be in conflict. The Muhajiruna, Al-Aws wal-Khazraj, they were in vengeance and revenge, fighting against each other for a long time. You see the community, how it's different. The Jews do their jobs, do farming, business, etc., to work with handicrafts. The Arabs do different things. So a totally different community. How these communities merged is something that we need to study. We cannot really even talk about this here because it needs in-depth analysis. And you have people who work in social sciences and political sciences, etc. They need to look into that. Anthropologists, how these two communities merged to make a very strong fabric of Islam, of a Muslim state to be built upon them. Most of the companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam migrated before the Prophet himself. So there was a chance that the Prophet won't be able to even migrate. How did the people receive them? I will just give you an example and learn how Allah talked about those people in the Quran. How He described the Muhajirin, how He described the Ansar. So I'll give you an example of one. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf. You know Abdul Rahman ibn Auf? among the first 6 people to become Muslims. And he among the richest of Mecca. He's among the richest of the Sahaba. A billionaire. He left everything behind, a businessman. He had his own palace in Mecca. His own garments, his own servants, his own way of life in Mecca. He left everything. You know, there is no bank transaction. You go to the computer and transact all your, and you go to another bank, you get, no. And they wouldn't allow you to carry anything with you. So when he went to Medina, look at a new process, human process took place in Medina that has never taken place before in history, which is al-mu'akha. Mu'akha. Brotherhood. Based on religion, deen. And you talk about an Arab community that adores, respects blood relationship. If one from another tribe would kill somebody from this tribe, the whole tribe will go take revenge. The Arabs say, I and my brother against my cousin and I against others. My brother and I against my cousin. So they adore, they respect, they worship these type of relationship. So when you come into a new process where brotherhood is based on Islam. As a matter of fact, most of family ties were broken after Islam emerged, because this is my brother who's a Muslim. He looks different, his color is different, but he's my brother. My other brother, we belong to the same father, same mother, but he didn't accept Islam. Has become the enemy of Allah, and I don't like him. I don't have any relationship with him. And this brother, my relationship with him is strong. So a new form of human relationship emerged, which is mu'akha. Mu'akha. And this, one of the great lessons of Hijrah, the concept of mu'akha. We'll just talk about one incident with Abdul Rahman ibn Auf. Imagine this man who used to be very rich, among the richest of all Arabs. Even after Islam, he was the wealthiest. Yes, a billionaire. And he is among the 10 who were promised paradise. Al-asharatul mubashsharuna bil jannah. So you could be in Islam very rich, extremely rich, a trillionaire. And you could be among the most pious, the most God-fearing people. You see? This is something that we need to know. So this man went, and he had brotherhood with one of the companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Medina. Okay? Al-Rabi' ibn. I remember the Rabi', but I couldn't tell the next. Okay, we'll remember. His name was Al-Rabi'. Al-Rabi' was married to 2 women, and he was wealthy as well. He said, Abdul Rahman, now, this is probably the first time he met him in history. First time. But he, no, you're my brother. And he wouldn't say that to his own blood brother if he's not a Muslim. He said, Abdul Rahman, now you are my brother. You don't have anything. I have a lot. I have 2 wives. You could choose any one of them. I'll divorce her, and if she accepts you, marry her. Yeah, Akhwan. Only that? No. And I have a lot of wealth. I'll divide it between you and me. I think it's a dream. You will not do that to your father. A Muslim father. You see? And those people did it. The real mu'akha. But what did Abdul Rahman say? Look at this again, how they were brought up. Abdul Rahman said, oh my brother, may Allah bless your wealth and bless your family. Where is your marketplace? I am a businessman. If you want to help me, I'll go to the market. I'll earn things my way. I depend on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then I use my skills. And this is why he started to be another billionaire from nothing. From nothing. And this is one of the great lessons that we learn from Hijrah, that the companions of Prophet Muhammad were brought in such a way that they had developed great confidence in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that they were ready to sacrifice everything for the sake of Allah. And they are not willing to indulge, even if when they're given the opportunity. No, I have not come for this. I didn't leave my family and wealth in Mecca to take part of your wealth and your family in Mecca. Although the companions, they shared with the Ansar, they shared with the Muhajirin their wealth and everything. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, لِلْفُقَرَاءِ الْمُهَاجِرِينَ الَّذِينَ أُخْرِجُوا مِنْ دِيَارِهِمْ وَأَمْوَالِهِمْ يَبْتَغُونَ فَضْلًا مِنَ اللَّهِ وَرِضْوَانًا وَيَنْصُرُونَ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الصَّادِقُونَ. You see? لِلْفُقَرَاءِ الْمُهَاجِرِينَ. They have become very poor because they left everything behind. Quraysh did not allow them to take their camels, to take their sheep. No, they would just sneak away, okay, and escape with their lives. لِلْمُهَاجِرِينَ الَّذِينَ أُخْرِجُوا. They were driven away. They didn't really exit by their own will. No, they were driven away. أُخْرِجُوا. Forced to leave ديارهم وأموالهم, their houses, their localities, their wealth. You see? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, those are the truthful, as-sadiqun. How Allah described the muhajirin? والذين تبوأوا الدار والإيمان من قبلهم يحبون من هاجر إليهم ولا يجدون في صدورهم حاجة مما أوتوا ويؤثرون على أنفسهم ولو كان بهم خصاصة. Great description. Nobody could describe those people better than Allah. No matter what we say. Wallahi, no matter what we say. Then Allah said, and those who received Iman, and it became before the Muhajirin, the Muhajir came. تبوأوا الدار والإيمان من قبلهم. They had their own families, their own houses, and Iman came to them. Those came to it. يحبون من هاجر إليهم. They love those people who immigrated. Compare this to what goes in the world. Do you love immigrants? Anywhere in the world. In Europe, do they love immigrants?
We are to asking this question.
You see, even when you have some, this we'll talk about later on, inshallah. But this is how they were described. يحبون من هاجر إليهم. Is it that they love people who come to them, take their houses, take their wealth, share their marketplace, in their business, in their farms? You imagine the situation. You see, it's the opposite everywhere you go in the world. Well, is it that? No. And they don't find anything in their hearts against those people. Subhanallah. وَلَا يَجِدُونَ فِي صُدُورِهِمْ حَاجَةً مِمَّا أُوتُوا. Is it only that? No. وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. They give them favored treatment. They even treat them better than themselves. Subhanallah. غفر الله لي ولكم وجمعنا وإياكم مع هؤلاء في جنات عدن. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.